congregational work. I was a second career minister, and so really came to ministry in sort of a very non-traditional kind of path. But I really believe, and I think Thurman believes this, that at the heart of everything is what we believe about God. And you talked about, the strangeness of God, and how I'm curious about how we help people to have this kind of inner life, right?
Mm.
This inner journey that Thurman understood so well and modeled for us so well, as a sort of understanding is the foundation, right, for the work of justice that we do. And it's, I used to joke and say, if I preached, Isaiah in the year the King Uzziah died, I wouldn't have to say anything other than that in a Black church. All you would say is, in the year that King Uzziah died,
Mm.
they
And then
they
say,
could,
mm.
yeah, that's all you would have to say, because our understanding and our tradition of the word, or the power of the word, and even of the power of worship. However, we can have critiques about it being overly performative and overly this and that, but we understand holiness. We understand sacred space and sacred presence. And I think part of our challenge, even as Black people, is kind of pulling those things together that says, that said, if God indeed isn't holy, then, God is showing us through Jesus what we must do. And I find that in the white church, it's the opposite challenge. I've got to remind you that all this wonderful thing that you think you're doing, the food pantry, the this, the that, you think you're good people, but you've not come yet to understand the holiness. And
Mm.
I love this idea of the strangeness of God. You've not entered in
Wow.
to have that particular journey that will undergird why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you were to do that, then the racism, I think Thurman says this somewhere, it's like, if you were to understand God and the sanctity of God, then there's no way that you could abide racism. There's no way that you could abide misogyny, because you would understand God's holiness and God's ineffable nature. Unknowingness means that you can't withhold, you don't, and I say this in my book, you don't have the right to exclude or not love anything. So I've rambled on too long, but just curious to engage.
Please ramble. I'm good at listening. I love your point about, I like to call it the interiority of religious experience. We
Yeah.
need a spiritual and moral infrastructure if we're going to do the work
Mm-hmm.
of transformation in society. It's dangerous to go out without a spiritual and moral infrastructure. So, in my work in ethical leadership, that's what I do. I spoke with the evangelical Lutherans this summer,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a similar conference that you all have as well. But I spent time talking about, how do you feed this deep spiritual yearning of the human, we like to say, soul.
Mm.
We're thirsty. We're like the deer. Thurman has a great little story, and Jesse will have to go to break after I tell this. But he says, and this goes back to 1934, he says, in the early spring, the young deer, roe deer, Indian deer, male, goes crazy. There's a scent in his nostrils that he can't let
Mm.
go. And he runs over hill and valley and mountain until he falls out exhausted, looking for the source of the scent. It's mating season,
Mm.
but he finds the scent in his own hide. This thing that we're looking for, it confuses us because we look at the other, thinking the other has what we need, and the other does have what we need because it's the same thing that's within all of us. And I
Mm.
think this quest for deep spirituality may be the most important work we can do at this time.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
Amen.
Deep calls unto deep.
Mm.
And we've got to do, Katie Cannon called it soul filled work, the
mm.
art of soul filled
Soul
work.
filled working.
And my prayer is that for you in your work, that you'll hold out that banner, because this is what people also want.
More
Yeah,
with Reverend
yeah.
Terry Hord Owens and Dr. Walter Fluker when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates our own Keith Underwood, host of the weekend entertainment show Black in the Green Room, on his recent honor at the annual National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards. Keith received a first place award presented by the Los Angeles Press Club for his entertainment reporting, and we couldn't be prouder. Congratulations, Keith, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-285-3500. 800-285-3500. Don't wait. Call now. 800-285-3500. 800-285-3500.
Preparation, purpose, and passion fuel greatness. Join Brandon Copeland as he shares his journey from a professional football player to real estate investor, professor, and mentor committed in protecting one's wealth on and off the field. See how he turned his experiences and lessons learned into legacy. Discover life-changing plays, moves that build the future, and the importance of financial literacy to protect what matters. Catch the two-part series at casheslife.com/double impact. Brought to you by Nationwide.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
10 athletes will face the toughest job interview in fitness that will push past physical and mental breaking points. You are the fittest of the fit. Only one of you will leave here with an iFit contract for $250,000.
This is when mindset comes in.
Someone will be eliminated.
Pressure is coming down.
This is Trainer Games.
Watch it on Prime Video starting January 8th.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Moving Mountain Mondays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with Reverend Terry Hord Owens. The faith not to fall, and our very special guest in the balance of this half an hour will be and continues to be Dr. Walter Fluker. And Dr. Walter Fluker is the eminent Howard Thurman theologian and scholar in the United States and, by definition, in the world. And I must say that the opportunity and the honor to spend time with Dr. Fluker is about as close to the late Howard Thurman as you're ever going to get. And he is just that heavy. And with that said, I want to welcome Dr. Fluker back, and certainly, Madam President, welcome you back as well. Let me just read this very quickly, and then Dr. Fluker and Reverend Owens, let me allow you to do what you do best. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among brothers, to make music in the heart. Dr. Fluker, what was Dr. Thurman trying to convey to us when he wrote these words?
That Christmas is not limited to ceremony.
Mm.
Rituals, dogma, doctrine, all these things for Thurman are like garments that we wear loosely. Sometimes we put them on, sometimes we take them off, but the experience of the holy is always present and available for us if we dare pay attention. I mentioned Moses early. I sometimes think that Moses probably had walked past that bush 1,000 times and it was on fire, but this day he noticed. And I suspect that in our own lives, the presence of the holy is already there. How could it not be? But we miss it because we are distracted with so many things that actually don't matter. Anyone who's ever pastored really knows this, but it really doesn't matter ultimately. So that's what I think he's after. He's after the not just the meaning, that's kind of head stuff, but the experience, the deep, throbbing experience of the holy. And to be struck by the holy is simultaneously, for Thurman, and I think true for all, is to be struck by grace, to be awakened by grace. Because it's not your doing. Oh, what a wonderful thing to receive a gift that you didn't have anything to do with, but somehow you receive it in spite of. And I think that's part of what Thurman is after.
Madam President?
Yeah, I'd so appreciate that. I was actually gonna ask that same question, Jesse. And Thurman spends a lot of time, at least, and again, this has been my Advent reading, the mood of Christmas, about even reveling, getting beyond the ceremony, but you know, we should all have an experience, right, of angels.
Right.
And this sense of glory for him. It's not just the putting some feathered wings on the backs of children in a pageant, but really trying to imagine and get inside the glory that was revealed to these people, and the awesome, like you say, the awesome experience and the presence of God that was revealed, you know, in that moment. And I so appreciate, again, my diagnosis of my denomination, and William Barber always teases me about that, because I say our church, and I'll just limit it to the Disciples of Christ, I won't own anybody else, but we are spiritually dry and biblically illiterate. And until we fix the inner spiritual problem, the institutions that we're trying so hard to prop up all around, we want young people to enter into association with us when, and you said it earlier, people are seeking this sense of awe and connection. I mean, even Augustine said, right, something to the effect that our souls are lost. We're lost. We don't know our full selves until we find our rest in God. And I really do think that inner spirituality that will help people understand that the work then is really what God is about, but we can't fully understand the magnitude of that until we get to this. It ceases to be political if you understand this inner power of God. It's not about whether I'm a Democrat or liberal or conservative. I'm just trying to see the kingdom of God become real on the earth. If in fact I can get to that inner place.
The first meeting I ever had with Thurman, he asked me what I wanted to be, and I gave him the kind of naive response that everybody does. And he looked at me for a long time and said, "But what do you want? What do you want?" And part of what he was asking, what is it that you hunger for all the time? It's always there. How do you feel the hunger of your heart? Institutions are good, but for Thurman, and this was his word as well, he said they are significant, but ultimately they're artificial. The deep, the deep, the deep. And Thomas Merton says it this way. He says, what negligence is this? Run to the mountain and see God.
Let me ask this.
That's what I'm saying.
Dr. Fluker, let me ask this question, because my father also knew Dr. Howard Thurman, and he said he was amazed by two things. One, he said Dr. Thurman used to speak with trees.
Yeah.
He used to go outside and talk to trees.
Right.
But he also did something my father said he had never seen someone do before. He preached his own funeral. And everyone had to sit there in the congregation and listen to what Howard Thurman had to say about Howard Thurman.
He's such a character. So is your dad, by the way.
I have a quote for you, Doc, and then I know that our time draws near. The movement of the Spirit of God in the hearts of men and women often calls them to act against the spirit of their times, or causes them to anticipate a spirit which is yet in the making.
Whoa.
In a moment of dedication, they are given wisdom and courage to dare a deed that challenges, to rekindle a hope that inspires.
Wow.
Are we living in such a time,
oh my God,
as
oh
this?
Oh my God. And Dr. Owens, I want you to chime in. Oh my God. Yes. Oh yeah. Thurman knew stuff, right? And so he's playing with you like it's one of his favorite analogies. It's like the cat plays with the little mouse. Just plays with. He's playing with you. He knows stuff. He not only talked to trees and to animals, he believed that if this same thing that is within us is also in all of creation, why is it not possible that we can communicate with the same species or the different species? Because this, theologically, we call it a sacramentalistic ontology. The glory of God is in all of creation and is shouting, but we are deaf to it because we're not listening deeply.
Reverend Owens?
Yeah, and I think it all gets back to even, and again, my frame of reference is always this multiracial, predominantly white environment where I'm trying to break through, I think, with some of these things that are so powerful in our tradition, not because I think everybody needs to be like Black people, but because I think everybody needs to really understand the importance of God. Everything begins with what we understand about God. And if we embrace this power, this mystery, this strangeness of God, then we are able to see the glory in creation, and we are able to see, even from a policy standpoint, the necessity for preserving water and air and creation, because it's God. It's a reflection of it's part of all of God's creation. And if you don't have a respect or an understanding really for the holiness of God, you're stunted. You're stunted even in your moral understanding. And I always say, I don't care what your tradition is. I'm a Christian minister, but if you don't have some understanding of the holy, however you call it, however you define it, it's very difficult to move through life without any kind of coherent moral or ethical framework. And that's not proselytizing. That's not saying that you're laying forth one holy text over another or one holy ritual over another, but something that's strange and beyond yourself.
Yeah. Yes.
If you don't have some respect for that, you're stunted. You're just dry.
Let me just add some of what I think I just heard, and I might be stretching it. Maybe I misinterpreted what I did here. And that is this, that our sense of spirituality as Black people, I want to bring it on home to the immigrant community, to the National Guard, to the capital of the United States. Our sense of spirituality through kings that we lived under from 1619 to the Declaration of Independence. We understand kings. So no King's Day, hey, it's a big deal, but we know kings, and some folk ain't never known a king. They've only known presidents, and we've known 15 of them that tolerated slavery. So we know presidents too. So we're on this journey together. And then there's this after Lincoln presidency, which is always a different iteration of some form of the same. But I'm thinking that this spiritual journey, we're not going to run through the Capitol.
Wow.
And we've had plenty of opportunities to run through the Capitol and destroy it. On this Thurman journey, this pre-existent thinking to justify the ends, we give it some thought before we do. We reflect on the journey. We know that while we use the term forgiveness for people, forgiveness existed in the world before Jesus of Nazareth. But the forceful way within which Jesus brings it forward 2,025 years ago, along with love and mercy and redemption, it is impossible to imagine the world before the Nazarene. It's impossible.
Wow.
Because he owns it now because of how he taught us to apply it.
Wow.
Dr. Fluker, we don't have but 2 minutes left, and I know that your time draws near, but we
I'm going to use every last bit of my 2 minutes to read something with your dad.
Okay.
We're talking about a bomb in Gilead. I say, sitting there in his hotel suite, that memory stirred something in Jackson's spirit as he rocked in his chair and began to visualize the moment he climbed onto a makeshift platform, looked out at a weary crowd, and called out, "My brothers and sisters, I know that you're tired and cold. I know that some of you have run out of money and can't afford food, but don't give up. Keep hope alive. Yes, keep hope alive." That's still the word. That's what Advent is.
Yes, yes.
That's who Jesus is. Keep hope alive.
Dr. Fluker, we are so grateful. I see your lovely wife on our screen at this moment. Share with us very quickly the award that you both received. We're so proud of you.
We were both pleasantly surprised, and it's the Beautiful Are the Feet Award, which will also honor Bishop Michael Curry and Dr. Cynthia Hale. February the 25th, I believe, in Chicago at the McCormick Center. We'll be there, and that's my beloved. I almost feel like she should have gotten it all by herself. But I'm glad to be tagging along.
We're going to make it a point to try and join you on that very special.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cynthia Hale, I must say, is a disciple. We have to know
that. Bless her heart.
I'm Jesse. We're very grateful to Dr. Walter Fluker for joining us when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. More with The Faith Not to Fall with Reverend Teresa Howard Owens.
Stay in that light.
It's Team Drive Time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Providence, Rhode Island police have released the person of interest in the Brown University shooting that left 2 dead and 9 others injured. Mayor Brett Smiley says the investigation is still ongoing, but the public remains safe.
But we want to inform the community that individual will shortly be released from Providence Police.
The university, while not an HBCU, became the first non-HBCU member of the HBCU Library Alliance and launched the Health Equity Scholars Program with Tougaloo College to promote diversity in public health. Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore says he and the First Lady are praying for the Brown University shooting victims and have offered support to Rhode Island's governor. And funk and R&B legend Carl Carlton has died at 72. Known for hits like Everlasting Love and She's a Bad Mama Jamma, his music remains influential, often sampled and featured in film and television. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the cover? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. It was a strong day yesterday for both of LA's NFL teams. We start with the Chargers. They rolled into Kansas City and eliminated the Chiefs from the playoffs with a 16-13 win. The Chargers are 10-4. Kansas City had won the AFC West title 9 straight years and have been in the playoffs every year since 2014. The Chiefs also lost quarterback Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the season. The three-time Super Bowl champion suffered a torn ACL in his left knee late in the fourth quarter. The Rams clinched a playoff spot with their 41-34 win over Detroit at SoFi. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford threw for 368 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Rams are 11-3 and remain tied with Seattle for the best record in the NFC. LeBron hit 2 free throws with 3 seconds left to give the Lakers a 116-114 win at Phoenix. Luka Doncic had a game-high 29 points. The Lakers are 18-7. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Malik Books on celebrating 35 years in business.
It's a celebration.
Malik Books proudly houses one of the largest African American and diverse children's books in the nation. This is the perfect time to pick up holiday reads, meaningful gifts, and to support literacy in our community. For 35 years, Malik Books has stood strong in the Black Book Revolution, uplifting stories that heal, inspire, and transform. One reader at a time. Change your thoughts, change your life. Books are the gift that keeps giving. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, congratulations to Malik Books on 35 years of culture, pride, and community.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to Moving Mountain Mondays and the Faith Not to Fall with Reverend Teresa Sherry Ford Owen, the General Minister of the Disciples of Christ Church. I am so grateful that we spent the last hour and a half with Dr. Walter Fluker And I'm very much interested in I'm Reverend Terry Hord Owens's interpretation and thoughts, building out the final segments of our program. But I do want to share with you how excited I am about this program. One of my martial arts instructors, I have 3 degrees in Taekwondo, writes, "Dear Jesse Jackson Jr., you are a great man. I felt that from the moment we met in 1993. From then until now, your dedication and integrity have continued to leave a strong impression on me. Respectfully, Nam Soo Hyung, Grand Master." He also writes in the comments, "Anti-Semitism is power driven by fear. Martial arts are power guided by self-control." And I wanted to read particularly the thoughts about anti-Semitism, Reverend Owens, because in a real sense, I heard from Dr. Fluker that there are constraints on our faith. There are constraints on our spirit, a different kind of shackle. I'm not talking about a shackle that is binding in the form of some kind of chattel slavery. I'm talking about the reflection that we operate in when we take action in love, in spirit, and how we act in that context, or even in this political context, also matters as a function of the interpretation, Madam President, of our faith.
Oh, absolutely. I think we have, and there are, one of the challenges that Christianity has is really to reclaim really the message of Jesus, and really the sanctity of God. There's so much. I have a grand nephew who joined church and is going to be baptized, and he's all excited. And his grandmother is his great grandmother is a solid Pentecostal. And she began by telling him, "Well, you're a Christian now. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this." And we've so orchestrated our understanding of our faith about what's not included and who is not included and what is condemned and what is not. And we are not embracing this inclusion and the inclusivity of God's love. And anytime we draw an understanding of faith that's excluded and puts people on the outward edge or the borders and say what's right and what's good and what is not, as opposed to living with this more expansive understanding of what the Holy loves and can take and deal with, I think we're in trouble. And that's how we're responding. We claim our faith and we're responding out of rejection instead of acceptance. We're responding out of exclusion instead of inclusion. And we've yielded to these rules that are really man-made, that have really nothing to do with the message of Jesus, or the message of most other faith traditions in terms of how we deal with others in this society.
Madam President, we may end up actually doing everything that the stranger would do. And the stranger may be doing some of everything. And I'm hearing you say that we are called, if the stranger is in the image of God, to recognize that divinity within them, even though the constraints of the church itself may have determined that that individual is outside of God's grace. And I say that because what? I need to register some hustlers. I need to register to vote some pimps, some prostitutes. I got to get some money. I got to go speak to and get some folk involved whose spirits are broken. They're valley in the dry bones. They need to be re-engaged. We got millions of people who could have voted differently in about 9 states, and I wouldn't be anxious every morning about the next tweet that's coming across. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on. Somebody got to go get them. We got to get them, round them up, bring them into the fold. A lot of Democrats don't want to bring them into the fold. We'd rather, I don't want to deal with the debt-paid felon community. I don't want to deal with the LGBTQIA community. Hey, the farmers voted for Trump, and now they're getting burned. Too bad. No, not too bad. We got to go get them, and we don't have much time to go get them because we need them to vote with us.
That's right. And once the reason we're responding to that is you're so focused on party. It's like, well, why are you a Democrat? Why are you, Black folks, we're staunch Republicans, right? Somebody tries to pin that turn from Republican to Democrat, or at least the major wave, as when John Kennedy made the call to help support Dr. King when he was jailed in I think it was Birmingham, or may have been another city. But actually, Black folks made that change a lot earlier with Franklin Roosevelt. And when you begin to see your self-interest being served, that's important. But those of us who are in a place where we have a platform and we can speak, whether you're trying to get people to come to church or get people out to vote, you have to see the sanctity of God in them, see their humanity is full and rich, regardless of where they live, how they vote, what zip code they're in, what they may or may not have done with their money. No one is beyond a redemption. If we saw George Wallace years ago, right, go through. Some people question the redemption, but he said, "I changed my mind. I was wrong. I understood that." If Donald Trump tomorrow were to tell us that he had really changed his mind, we would need to see some, because repentance and change is about action that follows that. You haven't repented unless you're no longer doing those things, or we see a clear line of that. But I'm not going to withhold the possibility of redemption for anyone. But in my engagement and my responsibility to show love for you, my responsibility to work for a world where you're okay, that's my faith talking. I have that responsibility no matter who you are, what you do. And if I have an evangelical, in the true sense of the word, agenda, which would be to say, I want you to understand Jesus as I understand Jesus, the best way I could do that is to say, man, I'm working for policies that will allow you to have a living wage, that will allow you to be able to afford safe housing, that will allow your kids to get the best education no matter where you live, that will allow you to be respected in your workplace. And I'm doing that because I've been called to work for a certain kind of society, and my faith calls me to do that. But you're right, we can't be afraid and despise those people who are in greatest need of, that kind of advocacy that, if based on the sanctity of their humanity, it is what people are looking for. See me, hear me, respect me, listen to me.
I'm thinking in this moment that we will win the midterms, not by the margin of our anger at Donald Trump and MAGA. We're going to win or lose by how we treat the stranger. That's going to be a bigger message for me now. The stranger. The man who, in a moment, in a second, in a brief conversation, changed the life of Howard Thurman and changed the trajectory of his path because he bought him a ticket for his trunk to go to college or to go to high school. And how many strangers are we meeting and speaking to on a daily basis as Democrats that we are turning our back on because we are self-righteous, because men and women did some time, or the LGBTQIA, we don't like the way they marry or who they want to be. We will win or lose in the final analysis by how we treat the stranger. And until we see the stranger as our neighbor and even as an embodiment of the divine itself, herself, himself, the way we treat and speak to the stranger is going to be a factor in whether or not we win political elections. You can believe that. Now, whether they extrapolate upon it and build upon the hermeneutic, that's a whole nother thing. But it took all of this hour and a half to get to this right here. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our guest and our regular contributor, Reverend Terry Hoard Owens. More on the Faith Not to Fall when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
So you need last-minute gifts. No judgment. Get an extra 25% off during Kohl's Friends and Family Sale and find great gifts under $20, like something cozy, Something thoughtful, something that says you planned this all along. Yep, you're just one quick trip away from checking off the last gifts on your list. Save now at KohlsandKohls.com. Select styles. Offer ends December 24th. Some exclusions apply. See store at Kohls.com for details.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. Days of business all over Febreze car. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr.
Reverend Terry Ford Owen, our regular contributor on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Madam President, I'm thinking in this moment that your book, Staying at the Table, gives significant consideration to the idea of the commonality, the brotherhood, I don't want to say of man, but that has been the traditional sense of it. But the brotherhood of our personhood. And there is a uniqueness to staying at the table in terms of the prophetic nature of your work that matters at this hour. Share that with us if you don't mind, Madam President.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, I begin the book by talking about everything that we believe must begin with what we believe about God. And if we do believe that God is all-knowing and effable, this mysterious, wonderful, sacred presence, and as Christians, even if we believe that Jesus is that revelation that has come to show us what the world can be like because of Christ, and because that presence is among us, then it requires us to see in each other both our humanity and to value and not to see difference as deficient, to not draw lines around who's in or who's out. Because if God's love is limitless, then our acceptance must be limitless. And staying at the table does not depend upon my liking you or agreeing with you, but rather recognizing that the table, first of all, is not mine. It's a table that was set by the holy, and I'm required to be at that table. If you do, some people say, well, Terry, what if I'm disrespected at the table? What if my seat is prickly at the table? What if I'm not welcome at the table? To leave the table, you give in to those who are trying to shift the table. And as long as you understand that it's really God's table and that all humanity belongs there, Your presence continues to make that message and to fight for that truth. So I firmly believe in everything you're saying, that this is the source that comes from God. It's not a political opinion. It is not any kind of religious doctrine. It is simply what I believe is the reality of what God has done. And if we start there, then as I say, there's certain roads you can't take. If you believe God's love is limitless, just as God is limitless, certain things you can't do, certain roads you can't take. And all theology is using language, making sense of what you believe about God. And if that is what you believe about God, then there are just certain things that you cannot do. Our problem is that we think being people of faith is tied to these institutions that we've created, and being members on the rolls, and even giving money to them and participating in the institution's projects. And if we don't have any connection really to what is centering that faith and the holiness that we claim that we project, we don't have that, then it makes the work ineffective and ineffectual and inauthentic. And that is what people are responding to when they see an institution that is inauthentic, an institution that violates even what it says it believes. Because if we say we believe in love, certain things we're not going to do.
I'm absolutely in agreement with that. There are certain things that we're not going to do. There are limits to how far we're willing to go. Now, without these precepts brought into our lives in a very forceful way 2025 years ago, it would be the wild, wild west out here. And for some people, it is. In fact, we can distinguish between the constraints that the systems and the belief systems of the precepts of this religion that we implore in our lives. We see the same precepts not implored in other people's lives, and we are able to say that's unchristian.
Yeah,
that's not right, because of the constraints that we define essentially, Madam President, as our own unique morality. That is the limit to which we are willing to do and go, of course, from my perspective, to stay at the table.
Yeah. And my litmus test for that action is, how inclusive is it? How inclusive is it? If you're saying that that's not Christian, why are you saying it's not Christian? I say it's not Christian because you're excluding people. I say it's not Christian because you're condemning people. I say it's not Christian because you're violating God's, first of all that God is, and you're violating even Jesus' direct commandment. They'll know that we are Christians by love. Love one another as I have loved you. Jesus had a love that was tough. Jesus spoke truth to power. Jesus let people know when they were they were off the track, but he never ever excluded them from the fellowship of his presence or of those that he loved. And so when we say we're excluding, I've been so really tickled to death and empowered by seeing all these little, and I'm hoping they're not just AI memes of cardinals and Catholic churches shooing away ICE when they've come on their premises, and people in churches saying, absolutely not. This is a place of sanctity. This violates God. Absolutely not. I will not allow you to do that. So the question is, what are you including and what are you excluding? I'm afraid of people who have such an exclusive God that you're making everything outside your own little sense of what you think is right. You're condemning that and saying that God rejects that, when that's not how God operates at all.
I heard from Dr. Fluker that we really, really, really on this God quest have to pay attention to the stranger.
Yes.
That there is an embodiment of this divine energy.
And Jesus gave us that example, right? When they asked, well, who's my neighbor, right? What's that look like, Jesus? All this stuff you're talking about. And he gives them an example of the very person that they excluded, right? The Jews hated Samaritans so much that even though the most direct path from Galilee to Jerusalem was through Samaria, they went around Samaria. They took extra pains to even avoid the territory. So that even the idea that we have to say the Good Samaritan reflects how othered and how strange, the Samaritan was in that parable. So we have to be careful of what we're saying is normal and just the thing that God has said that you said is strange is probably the place where God is working.
In this moment, I'm thinking about how the show began because it's ending the same way. I'm thinking about the revelers, those who were celebrating Hanukkah in Sydney. I'm thinking about the wickedness and the evil of the father and son team that began shooting at the audience. But I'm also thinking about the stranger who wrestled one of the shooters to the ground.
Yes.
The Arab, who may or may not have known it was Hanukkah, who may or may not have known that it was an anti-Semitic attack. But what he saw in that moment was the brotherhood of man. That someone crazed and out of their damn mind is shooting people.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to risk it all by stopping this. That's the stranger. Now that's in the moment that happened, Madam President. And now we can look back on it and see it as a vile anti-Semitic attack. But in the moment when the action occurred, we don't know if he had given consideration to his Jewish brothers and sisters. We don't know what the stranger on the Jericho roads race was. What we knew was something was wrong. And we had to intervene in that moment for all of humanity. And it was the right thing to do.
Right.
Madam President, we have about a minute and a half to come forward.
And that's the power of that parable of the Samaritan, is that Jesus didn't care who that person was. He said that good that he did reflected the way in which Jesus wanted us to treat our neighbors. And I think that's a powerful thing. And when people can see that we can embrace not only the good that you do, but I don't care what language you speak, what your home nationality is, what religion you practice. My faith, my morality extends so far because I believe God extends that far, and that I'm not the one who limits whom God loves. And so I'm grateful for that stranger. And I believe we could write a parable about him, no matter who he is or what his background, that would affirm what he was doing is the way of Jesus.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to The Faith Not to Fall with Reverend Terry Hord Owen. She is one of our greatest contributors on KBLA Talk 1580. Reverend Owens, thank you for joining us this Monday on The Faith Not to Fall.
Thank you. It's been a rich couple of hours. Appreciate you.
Look forward to seeing you next week. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 80 Santa Monica.